because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
Bosh.
Hold on. Well, we ain't started yet.
That's like a moaning box. Bosh.
Okay, Gareth. Strange way to start, but we will start this. This is Joe Pugh for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. We're here at the Fisher household. First of all, how have you enjoyed your evening, Gareth?
Well, it's been an amazing Chinese meal with John, Johnny, William, Henry, the dogs, Charlotte, Hetty. Have I missed anyone out?
Myself. Ben.
Ben, the cameraman. You, Joe. Spencer Oliver was here. It was more work than I've done on several documentaries I've worked on, to be honest, tonight. I'm exhausted. It's near midnight. My agent didn't tell me I'd be working for 9 hours straight. And I've eaten a lot of curry sauce.
I have to say, Gareth, you turned up looking the part with a stick over there. Some Chinese props, but you're very well cultured in that area of the world, aren't you?
Yes.
Do you want to divulge?
Well, no, because we're having the Chinese meal, I just brought some stuff that I acquired or bought while I was in Beijing for a year, many, many years ago. Brought my stick to do a few wushu moves. The stick's called a kun. It's just a martial art I studied while I was over there, and it was a bit of fun. I attacked Big John with it earlier because he ate all the chicken balls.
I don't even know what to say to that. But just last thing on this before we get into the boxing, I definitely think you've got a career in acting, mate. You come across very Bond villain-esque tonight.
Well, I thought I was the other side of the equation. I'd rather be 007 than the villain, but happy to be the villain if I have to play the heel, I'll play the heel.
Mix between Roy Orbison and James Bond.
Oh, thank you very much.
Right, let's get back to the boxing this week. Big historic fight in many ways.
Am I looking at you or am I looking at the camera?
Well, it doesn't matter, does it? Okay. What do you usually look at when you do these sort of things? Look at my pretty face.
Well, it's normally Umar, but...
It is. But you're with me today, so...
Absolute pleasure.
Dublin, Katie Taylor. How big is this for boxing?
Well, it's huge. I mean, Conor McGregor's involved. Eddie Hearn's made it a big event. Katie Taylor's homecoming. Cheers, Ben. Nice to meet you. 6 years not fighting in Ireland. She's a massive standout pioneer and a lightning rod for women's boxing. She's an extraordinary character. I mean, I did a piece with her this week for The Telegraph. I don't know if it's been published yet, where she's just claiming to be one of the most boring sports people on earth. But it's just testament to how dedicated, rather like Johnny Fisher, never drinks, never smokes. Don't know if he parties. I don't think he does. He's dedicated to the cause. And that's what Katie Taylor has done for, I'd say, nigh on 30 years, since she was a little girl. 11 caps for the Irish national women's football team. Did you see that goal during the rounds this week where she hits a volley with the right foot?
I haven't seen it this week, but I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, to put Ireland one up in her senior Irish, I don't know if it was a debut, but it was one of her 11 matches. She's an extraordinary character. 5 amateur world championships in a row. Olympic gold in London 2012, carrying the flag for Ireland. Never put a foot wrong. Doesn't swear. Doesn't trash talk. She barely raises her voice. Prayer, dedication. You've just got to admire her. Every woman you speak to says she's a heroine. And even Chantel Cameron says, who's facing her this weekend in Undisputed versus Undisputed, said she's a heroine for her. That makes her dangerous in a way as well. But Katie Taylor, very, very special. I've been to that 3 Arena, worked TV, radio and writing there many times. It's a bear pit of an arena. It's the old turning point for the trains at the end of Dublin by the docks. So it's got a really weird shape. And the ring's tucked into a corner. There's a huge bank of like 10,000 people. and then there's a wall of noise that rebounds off the back side of the building, if you like, and onto the ring. It's going to be amazing in there, absolutely amazing. And, you know, the whole of Ireland will breathe with Katie Taylor when she walks in there.
I know you are usually talking to him, so I did ask him if you've asked him about this situation with Fraser Clarke, Fabio Wardley. He said you haven't. So can I get your kind of reaction to what has unfolded over the past week since the pullout of the purse bid?
Can I just pick that Taylor-Cameron fight as well?
Yeah, of course. I thought you'd done it.
No, I didn't. Well, I think Taylor wins, but you can edit this bit around if you want. You know, your mistake, not mine, Joe.
I thought you wanted to go home, mate.
No, what I was going to say was I think it's going to be a tough last few rounds for Katie Taylor, because I think Cameron will come on strong in the last rounds. I think Katie's hand speed will be too much early on, and I think she'll cling on and win victory. But I think she might have a last 2 rounds, 3 rounds. Could be tough with Cameron coming on like a tenacious little tank.
Is this the beginning of a kind of a sequence of fights for Katie Taylor in Ireland?
Yeah, I think so. Croke Park in September. Amanda Serrano. Michaela Myers working TV over there as well. That's possible opponent.
McCaskill rematch?
Amanda Serrano rematch, you mean?
No, McCaskill rematch.
Maybe McCaskill. She's got to beat Chantel Cameron first. I think Amanda Serrano last year was at that fight in New York. I think you were there.
No, I weren't there, but...
It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. $1 million fight for the women. Sold out Madison Square Garden. Amazing atmosphere. They carried the show. It gave a fulcrum for so many people to comment about the growth of women's sport, and in particular women's boxing. But, Fraser Clarke, Fabio Wardley, yeah.
Let's move on to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really unfortunate situation for Fraser Clarke. It's a promotional wrangle. It's a mistake on the chessboard, if you like, power-broking chessboard. I think if I'd been the boxer, I'd have said, no, I'm going ahead anyway. And I'd have left my promotional team and I'd have fought Fabio Wardley, because I think Fraser Clarke believes he can beat Fabio Wardley. It's one of the most exciting fights in British boxing right now because there's so much jeopardy. 2 young heavyweights, well, not that young, but 2 heavyweights young in their career. And you're just fascinated by the outcome. You feel that Fraser Clarke will raise his level against people who have looked very good in the heavyweight division. He's clearly no slouch. 10 years in the amateur team, Olympic medal. I think Commonwealth gold as well, isn't he? You don't just get these for nothing. And I think he wanted that kind of challenge. And I think they hung him out to dry a little bit, whether that's Sky or whether that's Ben Shalom not wanting to lose, foothold with the promotion. But Eddie Hearn's already laid into the whole of that, hasn't he? But it's a shame for Fraser Clarke.
Whether it was Sky or whether it was Boxer, Ben Shalom, etc., are they in the wrong? Is Ben Shalom in the wrong if he has pulled out Fraser Clarke, his fighter, against the fighter's will?
Well, he's wrong if Fraser Clarke's management team have said, I think 258 management put him in for it, accepted the fight, then it goes to purse bids and his promoters pulled him out because he doesn't want to lose an investment, if you like. Is it wrong? Yeah, it's wrong for the fighter. It's definitely wrong for the fighter. It might not be wrong for the broadcaster and the promotion. But that's down to the boxer to decide if he's with the right people or not. It's certainly not a brilliant situation. And this is a scenario that we don't want happening too much. Let's see these guys fight each other. Never stop James DeGale and George Groves having fantastic careers that they met when they were... I think they'd had 13 fights each at the time. Fraser's very young in his career, but he's been around a long time. But it's not satisfactory. Everybody's had their say. Eddie's put his boot in, hasn't he, on Ben Shalom, which he always does, but he's entitled to.
Moving on to Daniel Dubois, news has broke that he looks like he's leaving Shane McGuigan, and there is some doubt whether he will take the USYK fight, which, as Eddie Hearn said, it looks like he don't think that he'll take that fight. But before we move on to the USYK fight, can I get your reaction to him leaving Shane McGuigan? And it looks like rumours of teaming up with Don Charles.
Well, if he's taking the USYK fight and he's teaming up with Don Charles, who worked with Derek Chisora, I see the connection. Yeah? Derek Chisora gave Alexander Usyk a very hard time. Was that at Matchroom Square Garden? I think it was.
No, that was in, I think, empty Wembley Arena or empty Manchester Arena.
Was it?
Yeah, it weren't.
For some
It
reason
weren't
I
in the
thought it was
garden.
outdoors
But
at-
was, correct me if I'm wrong, but was Don Charles with Derek
He
for
may
that
not
fight,
have
or
been.
was
He
it
may
Buddy
not have
McGirt? I don't know.
Yeah, he may not have been. I can't recall the actual sequence there, but that's what I was thinking earlier on when I'd heard that he may go with Don Charles. Don Charles is seasoned. Look what he did do and has done with Derek Chisora. It doesn't surprise me. I'd rather see a boxer change trainers when he feels it's the right thing to do rather than after a loss.
Should he take that fight against Alexander Usyk?
Absolutely he should. Absolutely he should take the fight against Alexander Usyk. Look, if the Warrens want him to have that fight, they'll have it. If Alexander Usyk is being lined up to fight Tyson Fury later in the year, it's not going to happen. Simple as that.
But if Daniel Dubois chooses to not have that fight, is there question marks over him?
Maybe, but he will not choose not to have that fight. I've spoken to him personally and he's told me, I want to fight him. I'm ready to fight him. I'm ready to fight Joshua. He believes in himself. You know, when you're a young heavyweight and you know you've got power, you're not going to worry about an opponent. He's, what is he, 24, 25 years now, isn't he, actually? He's got it all ahead of him. A couple of losses on his record doesn't matter. He'll learn from Usyk whether he wins or loses. If he wins, it's amazing. Riches, fame, 3 world title belts.
Potentially a tournament in Saudi Arabia if he does it.
Potentially a tournament in Saudi Arabia. It makes him. What's he got to fear about that? End of.
Another big fight this weekend, Haney versus Lomachenko. We're kind of seeing that 135, I know it was a catchweight with Tank, kind of take shape now. And it's good that they're all fighting each other. I think other weight divisions to take notice of that and try and make that happen. But can you just break down that fight for me?
FRAZER Lomachenko needs to start fast. In terms of the fight, needs to start fast and get a lead against Devin Haney. Haney's right. Lomachenko will be dirty and difficult early on if he can be, because he needs a lead. He's a smaller man naturally. He's overmatched at the weight. Haney's looked more and more powerful and has improved a lot in the last couple of years. He is a magician. He is the Matrix, Lomachenko, but he's fighting at least a weight division, if not 2, above his natural weight. It's a stupendous fight. It's dance ballet in boxing. It's a purist fight. It could be beautiful to watch for 12 rounds. I just feel that Haney, 10 years younger, may use those things. Bigger, younger, probably a bit stronger, maybe not as skilled, just to kind of weigh those in his advantages. And he has looked better and better. He's been away to Australia twice to fight in the Lion's Den. When he was a teenager, he fought in bar rooms, the back of bar rooms in Mexico. He's clever, he's smart. I don't know if he's better than Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis, but it's a fight for the purists. It'll probably be a classic on Saturday night. I just think Haney might pip it on points.
2 more quick things. Over the past couple of days, Mauricio Suleiman has said with the WBC that they're now not sanctioning Russian fighters. So that does put a potential fight at super middleweight between Canelo and Dimitri Bivol in jeopardy. We know the light heavyweight one would only be for the WBA title, so that wouldn't work. But Bivol has said that he wants to fight 168. So do you think that's right for Mauricio Suleiman to make that stand against the Russians?
It won't matter, because the belts won't matter in the end, because that fight's big enough anyway. The stand is interesting, but Dimitri Bivol has been campaigning outside his homeland, and I think he's half Korean and half Kazakh. In those 2 lands, I cannot see that he is personally to blame for the situation with Russia and Ukraine. Mauricio Suleiman's taken a political stance there. If Canelo wants to fight with Bivol, they don't even need the belt. It's as simple as that.
Last one. I know you said on the sit down that you're fed up of talking about it, but we did speak off camera briefly about Conor Benn. I know you spoke to Umar. You said you was a little bit disappointed with some of his comments over the fight week with Canelo and John Ryder. But just taking time to reflect on that, have you had any communication with Conor, and would you like communication with Conor? And are those comments that he made still upset you, really?
No, I said what I wanted to say, which was, it was just nonsense. No, I mean, I didn't expect any comeback from Conor. Who am I in Conor's life? Nobody. I'm just really glad he's doing his hearing with the Boxing Board of Control. I feel like they wasted 6 months by not doing that straight away. I wish him all the best. I want him to, have his hearing, clear his name if he can, get back. He's young enough to come back, even from a suspension, and do what he loves doing and what he does best, which is fighting in the ring. I've no malice towards him at all. I just wish him the best. I want him to be mentally well. That's the most important thing, and believe that he can come back, get his case heard, and ride it out. And he's obviously training. He enjoyed that journey to Mexico with his stablemate John Ryder, who I thought was very valiant and very brave against Canelo. Showed what a tough man he is, what a man of steel he is. I've always said this. Conor Benn needed to have his hearing, try and clear his name, and just do it the conventional route. Not go around the back door and fight in another territory without having hearing, because it wasn't just about Conor Benn. It was about the veracity of a testing system in boxing, which is an inherently dangerous sport in which you can be legally killed in the ring. So it was a bigger story than just Conor Benn in the end.
Gareth, thank you very much for being to IFL TV. I want to quickly get you and Big John and Johnny, so we'll end this quick interview now.
Okay.
Goodbye.
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 Goodbye, Porky.
Because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,